Madras Crocodile Bank was started in 1976 by Rom and Zai Whitaker, and it stretches across an area of 8.5 acres. We have about 35 permanent staff, of which 10 are office staff and the rest are the park staff. We house 48 species of reptiles, of which 15 are crocodiles and the others are turtles, tortoise, snakes and lizards. Over all these years, they have gradually increased their repertoire, and now we have 15 species of crocodiles. When we started the Croc Bank initially, it was only for conserving the 3 main crocodile species in India, and the Tamil Nadu government actually asked them to breed these species in captivity so that it could be released back into the wild, just to increase the wild population.
Initially, it's changed quite drastically actually because of the government crocodile breeding and rehabilitation projects that came up around the same time that we were setting up the Croc Bank. So, to put it crudely, there was a glut in the crocodile market. Thousands of crocodiles were being hatched in captivity for release. And there was nowhere to release them because, people had by then encroached their habitats and territory. So that whole thing of rewilding didn't really take off. But what did take off was we were stunned at the interest that people were showing in the project and in the whole concept of conservation and rewilding and reptiles especially. So I would say that it went from the whole rewilding project to education and spreading awareness about wildlife and its conservation.
Right now, our biggest star is called Thor. He is born in 1988 and he's roughly 4.5 meters long. He's the biggest guy we have. By nature, he's aggressive. Earlier, we had our biggest star was Jaws earlier. We lost him in 2020. He was approximately 50 years old. So now Thor has been put in Jaws enclosure now that we don't have Jaws anymore.
Yeah, Komodo dragons, we have 3 here at Crocodile Bank. Again, they have very, very different personalities. Thor is very, very quirky. He loves coming and running up to you the minute he sees that you're there. Mostly he thinks I'm giving him food, but I would like to say it's because he likes me. But again, reptiles don't have cognition, but still. One thing we do for them is they're very, very intelligent. They're very cognitive. One of the very few reptiles who can recognize commands and calls. They're very trainable as well. Our animals here get fish and chicken. It's usually a variety. And the omnivores do get fresh spinach every day, along with fruits and vegetables. All of them are fresh straight from the market. So it's a combination. We know some animals, if you take the iguanas, they love pumpkin and all things sweet. But like everything, there is a limit to how much sweet things we can give. Taking care of an animal, the entire thing rests on knowing the animal. If you don't have basic knowledge of animal biology, it's very difficult to keep them happy and alive. So every animal needs some amount of research to figure out what it prefers. Does it prefer a dry substrate? Does it prefer a wet substrate? Does it like to climb trees? Does it like to burrow in the soil? Does it need a hide? Does it need a hot spot to bask in? So every animal needs at least a minimum of a few days of observation to figure out what it requires.
At Croc Bank, we have a well-established hospital. We have every facilities which we can, through which we can diagnose, we can treat the animals, we can do the best possible thing for animals so that we take a step towards conservation for these animals. So a routine practice of a veterinarian in such kind of a setup starts with we observe the animals, keepers and the curators let us know which animal is into a trouble, what has happened for the animal, if they're feeling good or not, if they have any injuries or if there are some issues which are going on and hence the animal is not behaving normally. So then we have all the kind of diagnosis that goes into a play. We do the blood check, we do their other body fluid check, secretions check, the fecal samples, everything's are being checked in our lab. For any advanced diagnosis, it goes outside, and then we get the core of the disease element which is present. Apart from that, we have the facilities like X-ray, ultrasound, echocardiography, ECG. We have a OT setup, which is like a highly advanced setup. We have a laparoscopy unit, endoscopy unit for the animals. We have a complete monitoring setup for the animals when they are into the critical care unit. And furthermore, we have an ICU setup for these animals where we monitor the animals closely when they are ill or they are sick or they have undergone any kind of an operation.
India has the largest number of snakebite deaths in the world. That is something that we have to address, and it can be done. We believe at Croc Bank very strongly that prevention is better than cure. We have identified the states where snakebite deaths happen the most, and we concentrate on those places. So we have 11 states under our program right now. The irregular were initially surviving on selling snake skins, and when the new government order came, when they could not survive on that anymore, Rom started this initiative where they could set up venom extraction center. This has been a huge step towards saving lives. Saving people from snakebite can only be done through antivenom. And because of this initiative that Rom started, the irregular have a source of income, and they are contributing greatly towards the extraction of venom. Our major source of income is, of course, the ticket sales. Apart from that, we have adoptions, where people are encouraged to adopt the animals that we have here. And this amount goes towards their daily upkeep, their feeding, maintenance of the sheds, of the enclosures.
And my recurring wish is that one day the government in some form will come and give us a bunch of money, or say that, look, from now on, every year you will get X amount of money to run the Croc Bank, so that you can do all the development and extension that you've been wanting to do. Right now, it's like think 10 times before you buy a printer sort of thing.
When they talk about conservation, it's mostly about the big cats, the fancy animals, right? Nobody talks about reptile conservation or amphibians conservation, but they form a very important part of very important part of our ecology. You take them away, the entire food chain is gone. But it's big time we start focusing on it. And an organization like MCBT is a pioneer, actually.
Yeah, we just remember that the Madras Crocodile Bank is only a tiny part of the whole crocodile project. The government of India did much more. Not government of India per se, but all the states who are involved. So, yeah, we contributed quite a bit. For example, we got the information of how to successfully incubate crocodile eggs from our colleagues in America and in Africa and South America who've been doing it already for decades. So the Croc Bank, in a way, and a lot of people came and got trained at the Croc Bank, actually all went to various states and started, programs there. So yeah, we can take credit for a certain amount of, teaching people and what we can take credit for is collecting a hell of a lot of mugger eggs and hatching them out and turning them over to the forest department by the hundreds. And then they're shipping them off to all sorts of different national parks around the country where they were restocking them. So yeah, we played a very important part, particularly with a mugger.
Many young people have come here as volunteers at Croc Bank and have been touched by what's happening here. And they have moved on to doing a lot of work on the conservation of reptiles. They have gone into photography, they have gone into documenting a lot of aspects in the wild. And all of it started because of that little bit of exposure that they got here at Croc Bank as a volunteer.
And conservation is a super area to get passionate about. Now, with the way the planet is going, it's just about the only meaningful thing to do, I think. So instead of hankering after money and pay raises, be happy with what you have as long as it's enough to live on comfortably, and really plunge into conservation work. That's going to give you a lot more wealth than money can.